your tea. You are now tuning into a very exclusive interview brought to you by Tea Time with Key Productions. This interview is held with the wonderful and oh so talented Erika Alexander. Enjoy. Hello, it's your girl Key with TV, and again I have Miss Erika Alexander with us today, and she will be telling us exactly what brings you to Raleigh with Color Farm.
Right, I'm here with Color Farm Media, that's my company, and we are keeping it colorful. Keep It Colorful is an initiative to engage creators of color. Creators of color all across this country saying that their voice is needed. This is a very unique time where the narrative in long form and short is now at a hand, and we can take control of it and produce all sorts of new things with new authors and new writers and new faces. But we have to prepare for it. So we've been going around with not only Color Farm Media, but SeedandSpark.com and Black and Sexy TV, and this has been our mission. Bigger than myself. Well, it's just an example of what you're doing here. You're creating a space for creators to make and finish very well what they have been creating in their minds. And from start to finish is sometimes a very long, bumpy road. And for creators of color, it's almost non-existent to finish the things that you might have put down on paper a long time ago, or just in your heads, or you might have started with partners that fell apart because of funding, or lack of funding, or lack of time, or money, or access. So, I think it's important for people to know that before I was a Cousin Pam or a Maxine Shaw living single, I was just a girl in Flagstaff, Arizona.
So exactly, tell us how can someone would like to be a part of this? Exactly, what do they need to do?
Well, they need to go to SeedandSpark.com, /colorful, SeedandSpark.com/colorful. There you get all the information about the cities that we've gone to and the cities that we have left. We'll be going to Chicago next for WakandaCon, forever. And that'll be in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And of course, we're in Raleigh right now. And we might go to Tennessee, but we're kind of at the end of the tour. But we need everybody to know that anyone, anywhere can submit. You don't have to have attended the workshops that we do. You can go online at SeedandSpark.com/colorful and get the information. And there's also a feature initiative going on at the same time with the Duplass brothers. Okay. But that's features. We're doing series, and our goal is to get series. About maybe 50 of them greenlit through this campaign.
So we can submit series and I guess scripts or whatever the case may be, books. We can do all of that.
Well, what you can do, you submit your project and you crowdfund for it. You greenlight yourself. Okay. You learn how, through these workshops and online, how to do it better, how to reach beyond your networks, create new collaborations and partnerships. And then if you reach the goal of your funding and 500 followers, then that opens the door of, boom, mentors that we've got from Amazon and Sony TV, and eventually perhaps a partnership with Tribeca to actually show your work next year. All those things. Back in the day, they used to give writers, assignments, and then they just stack them up. So you never saw those movies, but that's what he did. And yet we still couldn't do something with faces of color or women in them. So now we come to now, with the wheel turns, and here we are, and we've got a black world with Wakanda and Black Panther, and we've got Scandal and all these other things going on. But I'm here to tell you that I was there when after 2000, they segregated television.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And if you weren't, maybe, Bernie Mac or Chris Rock, you had to either be on BET TV1 or blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And that was after the success of Cosby Show, Will Smith, Family Matters, Living Single, Living Color, all that. They had made money. They had proven successful. You're not even talking about the Jeffersons and all those other places that were successful, right next to, any MASH or Archie Bunker or any of those other shows. Television wasn't segregated. We were all on the same, playing in the same pool. So here we are now in a world where you can feel there's a difference. younger executives of all different colors, black, white, and otherwise, male and female, understand that we live in a diverse world, that it should be inclusive. But I still thought that they were still pulling from a place where you either had to have representation or, that type of thing. And I said, no, they're missing all the talent that's out there. And some of the talent, not some, a lot of the talent that's out there was not ready. They weren't. Many of you are professionals, and this is what you do, and you have some sort of idea in your mind about what it takes. Well, there's a lot of people out there who just think it's just the fact that they're a woman or they're this or that. And I said, no, it's because you don't know how to write a script. You've never seen one. And it's crap. And I got to be the first one to tell you, you just don't know, some people ain't ready for it, I said, no, be ready for it, be looking for it. Yeah. So that's Color Farm Media. Me and my partner, Ben Arnold, thought we should create a company, not only because I didn't know how to market my own ideas and get the scripts that I had written out, which I had written a horror thriller that we set up at Lionsgate. We're doing a movie about the Boy Squire of Harlem with Ava DuVernay's producing partner, Paul Garnes. Josh Whedon called me and I did a spin-off of the Watcher character for Buffy the Vampire Slayer about a black girl who's a vampire who's over 200 years old. That's just the stuff I had just waiting. And but what about everyone else? If it's so hard for me, imagine how hard it is for everyone else. And I met one of your friends who came in and I said, what are you looking for? What do you think's missing? And she said, access. Access. Well, that's what we try to make more accessible. We call ourselves at Color Farm Media the Motown of film, television, and tech.
This is great. This sounds interesting. I'll be submitting something
Yes,
myself.
and $25,000 in matching funds for
wow.
a few of them too. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. And if you would like to give any advice to someone who wants to step into entertainment or the acting world, what would that advice be?
You need to haul ass. Things take a lot longer than you think.
Right.
A lot of people worry about where they are, should they be here. They put a lot on it, but I think if you want to be an architect, you know where you go to school and you study those courses and you move it on and you don't keep talking about it. But there's something about being an artist that is a little loosey-goosey, but it's actually one of the hardest things that you can be.
It is.
You're an entrepreneur, you're your own marketing, your own brand, you have to build networks, you live by your reputation. Often you feed 2 or 3 people in your network that depend on you, whether it's your representation or people who work for you. And you need to be mindful that this is a business, but it's surrounded by the art of culture making. And that is a skill set. And just because you watch television doesn't mean you know how to make it. There's a template and there's a structure underneath there that exists. And if you pull away everything that dazzles you, you'll see that there's real craft.
Yes.
And you should get to learning it. You should read more. And you should learn by doing, not by thinking that just because you roll it in with a camera and somebody's talking, that's inherently interesting. It's certainly may be interesting to you, but not to anybody else. Right. Narrative is much more difficult, and we need to make sure that we're coming with it. Just like if you want to be the best in basketball, you practice your layups and all that again and again. Well, same thing with being an artist or whatever level. You practice over and over again, and then maybe you'll be good enough, and then maybe you're great, and then suddenly maybe somebody will pay you. Maybe.
Okay, all right. Well, that's good information. And also, what really, I guess, inspired you to even want to start this, to say that this is a movement that you really want to do and put your time and effort, your heart? So what really inspired you for that?
Well, I was discovered in a basement theater called Freedom when I was 14 years old. And they came to town and they were looking for girls. And we all got a chance to audition because I was in the summer program, just by coincidence. And in the fifth week of a 6-week program, a movie came to town. And because I showed up, I was there at 5:30 in the morning, I was second in line, and they started passing us around together, like auditioning with each other. And somewhere during the middle of the day, they gave me the full script and said, look at this part. And at the time, I didn't know it was the lead role, but it was. And I ended up getting the lead role after several auditions and several screen tests. That was me. And there were some of the girls that got into that movie too. But there was so much more talent in that building and in Philadelphia that never got a shot because film and television is inherently biased and prejudiced and doesn't select for more. Well, I always promised myself that not only would I need to build the skill sets of writing and creation so I could create more opportunity, that I would try to reach out and create a bridge, seen, and maybe had an opportunity. And I always remembered how guilty I felt getting that role and knowing how much they wanted it. And for them, I was some person who just walked in the other day and got a role, and many of those people had been in that acting school for years. And I thought to myself, if I ever did get a chance, I would show the world what type of talent was there. I wasn't going to get that chance for a very long time, because not only was I young, I was young, but I couldn't create. I didn't know how to write. I didn't know I was a tool in the toolbox at the time. I knew I had ideas even at 17 and 18, but going on the Cosby Show, I saw for the first time a writer's room. I really had never contemplated how these things got made and what went into it. So I started to write, and I wasn't very good at it. I didn't have any discipline. I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know about structure, but I tried, and I was really sort of, do 10 pages and then leave it for 4 months and come back and not know where I was, and then say, no, it's good, look at those first two, oh man. And just, it was horrible, because I had stacks and stacks and boxes of stuff. I ended up marrying a writer at some point, and he really said, you gotta sit your butt in that chair and sit down. It's a solitary effort, and it hurts, and it's not fun sometimes, but that's the gig. And eventually I got to it. And people started knowing me more for writing. And people ask me all the time, well, why don't we see you? And I said, well, you don't see me because there are not enough roles. And when I was first starting, there were very few roles for ingenues, and ingenues meaning if you're young. And I wasn't even considered an ingenue. I asked my agent, I was telling her the types of roles that I would like to play. And I guess, I wasn't saying damsel in distress, because I've always been kind of strong and tomboyish. But I wanted to be, I don't know, the object of desire or whatever. And she said, oh, Erika, no one would ever mistake you for an ingenue. And I was 19. That's my own rep, my own agent. And she was right. At the time, I don't even think Nia Long had emerged, or Jada Pinkett, or some of the people who would eventually become ingenues in so-called black films. You were either a foster child, which I played in my first movie, a slave, a hooker, all the things they did and talked about, Robert Townsend talked about, were true. It sounds like they were stereotypes, but they were true. And I would have to wait a long time before I became what would be the next step in a black woman's career, an authority figure, or the mammy. It's like, well, you better get up here in my office and tell me. I said what you gonna say. I don't know, all that. And I don't know if I was black enough in this sort of stereotypical way that even black people started to create around us. And it's sort of, you must be crazy, all this stuff, and you come on here, you must be, I just talked. And I wasn't gonna get those roles, not offhand, they wouldn't think of me for them. And so there were things that, that I think were in the air in the 80s and 90s around what it is to be black, what it is to be urban suddenly, what it is to be gangsta, that kept a lot of people out of, I think, what would be the natural progression of just good film. Mm-hmm. And I think if you were a good filmmaker, you weren't really going to find much space. I'm just being truthful to how I thought. You had to write in a very stereotypical way, very male way. If you weren't a rapper, it's very difficult to get noticed, all that stuff. But I just kept writing, and the wheel turns. And guess what? The wheel did turn straight to the mainstream to provide more of the faces and the voices that I saw. So Color Farm Media is that. We call ourselves the Motown of film, television, and tech. And if we hadn't had Berry Gordy and many of the impresarios that came and producers that came and created hip hop and found all those amazing people from Stevie Wonder to Marvin Gaye, what kind of world would we live in without those voices? Well, we're living without those voices right now, because film and television, as you know, is uniquely collaborative, and there's a different standard, and most people don't know how high up is. So we thought if we went around and gave people education and said, listen, we know you have something you want to make, so we'll help you make it, but let's make sure that you're in the best shape to be successful. And what does it do for us? It gives us credibility. It gets us to know who our community and that we're in the world too, and we hope that you support us because we're supporting you. Also, it helps to prove to them that not only are you out there, is that you're mighty, that you're the new majority, and they should be talking to you. They should be afraid of you. They should be excited to see you. But if they ignore you, then there's hell to pay, because you guys are the future, and that's just it. So that's what we call Keep It Colorful. Keep It Colorful is this initiative that we started, that we just said, let's go. And I piggybacked it on some of the things that I was doing, whether it was an independent film or speaking engagement, and we just hit the road. And then we went to Cleveland and Detroit and Compton. Compton was just a few days ago, last week, and 600 people showed up. And Stevie Wonder got us on his station and let us advertise on Steve Harvey's show, and Mayor Aja Brown made sure we had use of the facility, and 600 people came. And just like here in North Carolina, they answered the call because they knew Seed and Spark, and I'll talk about Seed and Spark in a second. But we aligned ourselves with a crowdfunding platform called Seed and Spark. And Seed and Spark is a place where they're the most successful crowdfunding platform in the world. And it's run by this young woman named Emily Best. And Emily Best, I'm not the best little girl in the class, she is. And she's been doing this for a while. She's an amazing young woman. She really wanted to make sure that inclusion and diversity was like very much a part of what she does, and she backs it by partnering with other people. And that's why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because it's necessary, and it's because somebody found me, so I hope to find them.
That's beautiful, and I really do appreciate you with this interview and this time that you've given me. Also, I would like to say that this has been, you don't even understand how much this has given me life.
Thank
because
you.
I call myself Maxine Shaw
Oh,
all the
Lord.
time. I started
Oh,
wanting
Lord.
to do law school. I know, right? But this is just great. I've met someone that is just that I look up to. I look like a lot of people tell me, you don't understand, a lot of people tell me that
it's
all
beautiful.
the time.
It's a compliment to me.
Oh, that's
Your big,
so
beautiful eyes and your gorgeous
Yours
skin and all that.
too,
I mean,
beautiful.
and you actually have
I
the
actually
pretty
just started
hair and all
locks.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was faking the funk. But
Yeah, I found
yours
that out
is-
last
yours is
year. I
nice.
was a little upset, I won't lie.
Yeah, it's all right.
was
You
like,
know,
it's
they don't
okay.
understand I'm an actress. But
Right.
now they do. I used to have people come, young man, where's your locks, girl? And I'm like, it's a costume. It's all good.
It's all good. But thank you, and can you send us off on Trill Talk TV?
Send us off.
Yep, the drop.
Oh, hi. This is Trill Talk TV, and I'm with you here in Raleigh.
Thank
The
you. Yes. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank
But I get it, and it's been nice because I've been able to come out and because of people know me from Cousin Pam and Max and all that, it's nice to put out a call. And call people for. But the truth is that you were listening to that call anyway. You're probably already inside of all sorts of interesting groups, and if you're not, this is what we've been finding out too. And I think.
You are now tuning into a very exclusive interview brought to you by Tea Time with Key Productions.